Welcome again to The Old Principle. The Old Principle is an English instructional program. Usually I share a story, sometimes my philosophy of life. You would expect that from an old principle, wouldn't you? So today we're looking at number 139, getting involved. 要参与, but maybe we need Mrs. Ash here. But what's that?
That's a black eye.
That's a black eye. A very black eye. Have you ever had a black eye?
Yes.
Yes, you've had a but not the way he got the black
That's
eye.
right. Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Okay, 黑眼圈啊. And almost everybody has had a black eye somewhere in their life. I know I have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so would you share with us this story?
Sure. Too many people think only of themselves, refusing to get involved in the needs of others. But thankfully, some do. Some time ago, a young military man who was only 23 years old was on leave and visiting Philadelphia to see the historical sights of the city. In a subway station, he was confronted with a sight he hadn't expected. A gang of thugs had cornered a teenage girl and were about to attack her. Also in the station were 6 men waiting for the subway. They simply watched, but made no move to help her. George called to them.
Come on. You're not going to let these guys get away with this, are you?
But they shrugged their shoulders as if to say, it's none of our business. We don't want to get mixed up in it. It's not our fight. But this airman was made of sturdier stuff. He decided it was his fight. He threw off his jacket and sailed into the vicious gang all by himself. He threw them right and left, sent them sprawling all over the platform. They came back at him and beat him up. But he got his arm around the girl, and the gang soon saw that they had lost the day. The 6 men still stood idly by. The next day, the mayor of Philadelphia called a public ceremony in George's honor. He cited the young man for his courage and sense of responsibility. He made him an honorary citizen of Philadelphia. And when it came time for George to respond, he said,
I've enjoyed my stay in Philadelphia.
Of course he had, in spite of his black eye and the other marks of violence. Why had he enjoyed himself? Because his conscience was clear. Because when decency and humanity demanded, he had given himself for one defenseless person. He had what it took to get involved.
Good. Thank you for reading that. Oops, I read a little bit with you. So now you can rest and we'll go on with our lesson. Getting involved. 要参与. Number 139, let's look at it. Too many people think of only themselves. 太多人只不过是想到自己，不顾别人, just themselves. They refuse to get involved. 他们拒绝要参与 the needs of others. 参与别人的需要. But we wrote, but thankfully some do. 还好. In this case, 还好. Thankfully. Or 感谢. You could say, of course, thankfully is 感谢. But 还好有些人愿意参与. To get involved means to help other people. Let's just be very plain. It means simply they are willing to help others when others have the need. Going on. Some time ago, a young military man who was only 23 years old, okay? A young military man, okay? 军队的士兵 who was how old? 23 years ago old. He was on leave. When you go on leave, that means you are on vacation. 休假, okay? And visiting Philadelphia. Where was he visiting? 费城, Philadelphia, 美国东部的费城. To see the historical sites of the city. 要看 the historical 历史上的 historical 历史上的 sites 景点这个 of the city 这个城市的历史上的景点 and there's a lot of them. Really, there is a lot in Philadelphia. My favorite is the bell. Isn't it the Liberty Bell, the one that has the crack in it? The Liberty Bell. Anyway, 这个有一个钟啊. Okay, some in the subway, 地铁站 station, 地铁站 he was confronted with a sight he hadn't expected. Okay, now we're using sight a little bit different. He was confronted. 面对. Okay, now, normally when we use the word faced with, he was faced with a sight. Okay, confronted, it means the same thing as faced with. 他面对一个这个情景 in this case sight is 情景 he hadn't 他没想到的 that means that he wasn't expecting it 他没想到会面对这种情况 going on. A gang of thugs 一伙 thugs. What is a thug? 流氓. Okay, let's go back here. A gang's a 一伙. That means a small group. Usually it's a small group. 一群小群 of thugs, 流氓 had, okay, cornered a teenaged girl. So what does it mean that they had cornered her? They had 围堵一个 teenaged, 她是青年人 girl, and were about to attack her. 要攻击她 攻击 So this is what is happening. Okay, so what would you do if you were there? Going on. Also in the station, 在这个地铁站同时 were 6 men, 6个男人 They were waiting for the subway. 他们也是等着这个地铁来 But they simply watched. 他们只不过是看 but made no move to help her. 都不愿意这个下手帮忙她 How do they say in Chinese? 袖手旁观 袖手旁观 But that's a new word for me in Chinese. Ooh, I'll have to work on that. I hope I remember. Just like you hope you remember English, I hope I remember Chinese. They simply watched, 只不过是袖手旁观. They made no move. That means 他们都不愿意动手或下手帮忙他. Going on, George called on them, "Come on, 来吧, come on. You're not going to let these guys get away with this, are you? 岂不知你要让他们这样做吗? Okay, you're not going to let them get away with this. Of course, this is a question, and I wonder what was going through their minds. What were they thinking going on? They shrugged their shoulders. You want to see an honest-to-goodness American shrug? Okay. It's just, when you shrug the shoulders, it's kind of like a physical sigh. I don't know whether it's just like 松了松他的肩膀, just like they are already 放弃, they're giving up, and they say, hey, what can we do? No, we don't want to. As if 好说了, 他们这样说, it's none of our business, 根本不是我们的事情, 不关我们的事, 不关我们的事. We don't want to get mixed up. To get mixed up, 不要参与, mixed up. Now, to mix usually is you have a 搅拌机, a mixer, when you're cooking, to mix up. But in this case, mixed up simply means 我不要参与, 我们不要参与这些的. It's not our fight. 这个不是我们的战斗. It's not our fight. 我们不要参与这个的. Okay? Going on. But this airman was made of sturdier stuff. Okay? Airman, 空中, 这个空军, sorry, 空军士兵. Okay, this airman was made of sturdier stuff. 更加强. 更加强. Sturdier stuff. Well, that's hard to just, yeah, well, he's just a stronger person. He's a stronger person. He decided that it was his fight. 他做决定, 这个就是他自己的战斗. He would, 他不愿意让那些流氓害那个年轻的女孩子. So he says, I will get involved. Going on. He threw off his jacket, 把他的外衣丢在旁边. He threw off his jacket and he sailed into the vicious gang. Okay? Now, what does it mean to sail? That means, of course, as 航海 is to sail. Okay? Has nothing to do with 航海. Sail means he flew. He moved quickly. And he was going to do something very quickly. He wasn't saying, oh, well, I think I'll just do something. No way, man. He would go, whoosh, just as in a isana, in a flash of light, a blink of the eye. It's the vicious, 很凶恶的这个小群啊. Okay? Vicious, 很凶恶. he sailed into them. Okay, all by himself. 他一个人 he threw them right and left. 把他们打到这个，打到这个，他们打到爬在地上啊。That means when you're sprawling, 你不单是爬在地上 you're actually rolling on the ground. Sprawling means that they're rolling on the ground. So he sent them sprawling all over the platform. 都在这个月台上 he was doing this. But unfortunately, it's just one against a lot of people going on. They came back at him and beat him up. 他们又回到他自己，就打到他。To beat him up means 真的是打他了。Okay, so he was hurt. They hurt him. But he got his arm around the girl. 他的手就拉这个年轻的这个青年的这个女子。Just put his arm around the girl, and the gang soon saw. The gang 这群人呢，很快就看 they had lost the day. They had lost the day. 他们已经被打败了，已经被打败了。They had lost the day. This is a saying. To lose means that you lose. You've lost the fight. You've lost something. Usually it's a fight or a game or something like this. They had lost the day. The six men still stood idly by. 那六位还是静静的这个 How is it? 袖手旁观。Man, how am I ever going to learn to say this? So it's hard for me to speak Chinese, and it's just as hard for you to learn English. So I understand. The next day, the mayor of Feicheng, 费城的这个市长 okay, called a public ceremony. 开了一个public ceremony 公众的一个 for the public 一个会议 ceremony in George's in George's honor. This for George because he wanted to say thank you for the people of the city. So here is a special meeting just for George. So 为了他的缘故 and so he cited. Okay, what does it mean to cite? 表明出来 The young man for his courage. 赞美 cited. You could say praised. Cited in this case 不但是表明也是赞美 the young man for his 勇气 and sense of responsibility. 他能够负责任 sense of responsibility 这种负责this spirit of being responsible 负责任的心啊he made him an honorary citizen of Philadelphia 使他做费城的 what? Honorary citizen 荣誉 的市民。I've often wondered. Occasionally, I've seen other stories about people becoming honorary citizens, 荣誉市民 or 国民 or something, and I've often wondered, well, what advantage is that? Sometimes they give a key to the city, 这个城市的一个钥匙 I don't know what that means, but 是一种荣誉，一种荣耀。So he became the honorary citizen of Philadelphia. And when it came time for George to respond, okay, so George now is going to respond to 他的回应. He said, I've enjoyed my stay in Philadelphia. 我在非常过得很喜乐，很愉快。Going on. Of course, he had. 当然了，他过得很愉快。In spite of his, 虽然是有黑眼圈 black eye, and other marks of violence, 还有一些其他的暴力的伤痕。So he was hurt, but not too badly, of course. Going on. Why had he enjoyed himself? Now here's the philosophical side. 这个是我的哲学啊。Why had he enjoyed his stay? 他为什么这个享受而喜欢在费城啊 ？Okay, was it because he got in a fight? 是因为他参与跟人家这个打架吗 ？Did that make him happy? No, it didn't make him happy. 为什么 ？Because his conscience was clear. 因为他的良心是清白的。Okay, now, when you have a clear conscience, it simply means that your conscience is not 责备你. In other words, your conscience is not getting after you. You have done the right thing. You have done the right thing. So this is the way he enjoyed himself, because his conscience was clear. Because when decency, okay, 政治, in this case, decency, 政治, and humanity, 仁慈, were demanded. That means 需要政治跟仁慈。当有需要的时候 he had given himself for one defenseless person. 他愿意把自己为you say 牺牲 maybe not sacrifice yourself, 献上 maybe 献上 is better. 他把自己献给别人，什么呀 defenseless person 没有办法的，没有能力抵挡他的。In other words, the teenage girl was defenseless. She didn't have the ability to defend herself, 抵挡这些流氓。So she was a defenseless person. She was a defenseless person. Going on. He had what it took to get involved. Whoa. Our last sentence is probably the hardest one, because this is a simple sentence. Well, you look at it. He had what it took to get involved. 他的这一句虽然是短短的很简单 but it is 它的含义是满身. Let's see if I can explain it in English. Okay, I'm not sure I can do it in Chinese, but let's try it in English. He had what it took to get involved. 他愿意参与. Okay, somebody was in need. 这个小女孩啊，这个青年人有需要，流氓要攻击他，要害他。Okay, so he is willing to get involved. 他愿意参与。But the interesting thing is he had what it took. That means simply that he was inside of himself, 在他的心底，他的本能, he had the power, he had the interest, 他的良心是好, he had a good conscience, he would help others, even if it cost himself. 虽然他要付出一些, of course, he had a black eye, right? 他有黑眼圈啊, but he was willing to do something for others. And maybe the old principal needs to just share this part of his philosophy, and that is simply this. When other people are in need, I hope you have what it takes. I hope that you have the heart to work, to help, to be a person, a helpful person for others. I think that's my message for now. Now, you can write to me and say what you think, because I do have an email address, theoldprinciple@gmail.com, theoldprinciple@gmail.com, and www.theoldprinciple.org. That's our website. Hey, I've enjoyed being with you, and we'll join you next time, and I hope you will join us.